let's talk about the tight ends at the top of our rankings. I don't think any surprise that Travis Kelce is number one. Mark Andrews is number two. And then there's a massive gulf between those two guys and everyone else. Rob Gronkowski, we technically have number three, but I mean, there are other guys who are all kind of within a point of Gronkowski's mark as the third guy that we have in the projections. Sean, who are you high on this week?
Well, obviously I'm high on Kelsey and Andrews, but if you're gonna go cheap at tight end, I think Austin Hooper offers some sneaky value at 3,800. Again, this is a matchup at KC where the Browns could be forced to throw a lot more. And Hooper's heating up. Last week he saw 11 targets. He ran a route on 79% of Baker's dropbacks. And we know KC can, they're prone to allow stuff underneath. So I think Hooper could find those soft spots, and he could have a pretty big receiving day. He does lack the touchdown upside as like an Andrews or Kelce, but again, this is one of those times where a 4-game slate you're going to have to be contrarian somewhere, and I think these sneaky Brown snacks are one of the ways that I'm going to be attacking this slate. So love Hooper at 3,800.
Yeah, I'm just going to be highly unoriginal and say that I'm high on Travis Kelce. However high a normal person should be, I'll just say I'm even higher than that because he's Travis Kelce and he's going against the Browns, who allow the fourth most fantasy points in the league to tight ends. You kind of look at DVOA, they're not that good there against tight ends. So it's just, Kelce is an all-world player and he has a good matchup on top of it. And, he should be very fresh coming off of the bye. So I'm going to find a way to prioritize Kelce, certainly in cash games. Rayvon, who are you high on?
So, you guys mentioned the top overall ceiling player in Kelce and the top value in Austin Hooper. So I'll just go with the guy that kind of fits into a little of both, and that is Mark Andrews. When you watch Buffalo last week play defense, I think one thing that stood out was that their real issue came against covering tight ends. That was kind of the weakness. And, they could obviously scheme this up a little bit differently this week with Andrews being such a big part of Baltimore's passing game, but you still have to worry about Lamar running. So, I think that you will see some weaknesses. And you had last week, you had Jack Doyle catch 7 of 9 targets. You had Trey Burton catch 3 of 3. And then you had Mo Alie-Cox catch 4 of 4. So that's, 14 of 16 to the tight end. I think this could be a big game for Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I was on Andrews and his over prop last week and did not work out. I'm hoping it works out this week. Rayvon, give us a player that you are low on.
So I think just kind of by default, Robert Tonyan for the Packers again. I think is one of the few downgrades for their offense. And, Tonyan is a guy that, when Aaron Rodgers is throwing 48 touchdowns in a season, he's going to catch some of those and he's going to be a part of those big games. But I think this is a much more kind of league average game for Aaron Rodgers, which is still better than most against the Rams defense. But yeah, I don't think it's a big game. So not looking for much from Tonyan.
Sean, I believe that you are also, Raybon just snaked you there. I believe you also are
not a big selection.
Also low on Tonyan this week. Raybon hit on it. He scored his touchdown 6 of his last 7 games. And I keep emphasizing that, touchdowns are pretty fickle. So you don't want to be relying on a touchdown. His odds to score a touchdown at most sports books this week will be, minus 160 on no. So you're taking your chances here by fading a guy that's unlikely to score a touchdown. He hasn't seen more than 3 targets since week 14. So it just goes to show that, he does rely on these touchdowns. Now, there's a chance Ramsey could shut down Adams and Rodgers pivots to a guy like Tonyan. But I think Rodgers is just going to force the issue. I think he's still going to target Adams. And I think, Tonyan's going to see just, maybe 2 to 4 targets. So at 4,200 on this slate, I think you got to pass on it. You either have to spend up or spend down. Tonyan's just in a very tricky price range this week.
Okay. I am looking to stay away from Rob Gronkowski. He's in a big tier with everyone who's underneath Kelsey and Mark Andrews. I don't think there's anything that really differentiates him. But he had just one target last week, and the Saints are number 2 in pass DVOA against tight ends. So a tougher matchup, and perhaps he's trending in the wrong direction in terms of his usage. So it just seems like an easy player to stay away from. Sean, you promised that this tight end prop was going to be something that was a little bit creative. Give it to us.
All right, so here we go. What will be greater this week? The number of times Chad backs Friedman's bet on Convince Me this weekend. So that's out of 6 total bets. Or David Njoku receptions against the Chiefs.
Ooh. Wow. You're giving us 2 things that we really need to think hard about here.
Yes. So think.
Let's see. Matthew Friedman's average hitting percentage is about 0. Which means Chad will back all 6.
So, I mean, here's the thing. Chad on the Sunday show, he backed me twice, and both of those lost. So I think there's less than a 1 out of 3 chance.
So let's work backwards. What do you guys have projected for Njoku's receptions this week?
1.4.
Okay. What would you project Friedman's over under for Convince Me?
I'd have to go with 2 just because I don't think Chad is purposely trying to back anyone more than the other. So yeah, I'll go Friedman.
Okay, I'm going Friedman as well, but it has more to do with massive Njoku fade than any confidence that I have in my ability to convince Chad that he should bet on anything I recommend.
I think Njoku has some sneaky 3 to 4 catch upside this week, so maybe I'm higher on him than you guys. But yeah, I think both the projection is right around 2, but Njoku has probably a wider range of outcomes. But I thought this would be a fun one.
That's certainly true. I think Njoku does have the wider range of outcomes.
Right, you're going to be either 1 or 2 this weekend. I think we all are. Like our projections 1.5 to 2, but I think you're pretty much going to have 1 or 2. So it's going to mostly come down to Njoku this week. But
I think the line for me is 1.5, but with a strong lean to the under. That's how I would bet it. Okay.
All right, so you guys are booked on Freeman over, right?
Yep.
All right.
The Friedman over. This is not going to end well for anyone.